In this episode, we sit down with Jane Hales, a founder whose journey is anything but typical. From navigating a business merger to bootstrapping her way to success, Jane shares raw lessons on building something meaningful. We explore the mindset shifts, struggles, and breakthroughs that shaped her path. If you've ever doubted your potential, this conversation will inspire and motivate you to look at business and success in a new light. I'm thrilled and honored to have Jane Hales to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good now that I've sat down. Bit of a journey to get here, but there we are.
I wanted to have a conversation with you to know about your success journey and your mentoring journey in helping countless founders achieving success. So wanted to understand how you did your first business. How was it at the early stage?
How did I start? I was always pushed rather than I chose to, if you put it that way. I spent the first 2 decades or so as a researcher, a research technician. That was my skill. That's what I thought my skill was. And then I was in a business, leading a business that was merging with another business. And it was a culture clash. And bringing my team in with the other team and seeing that we just viewed the world differently. We had different values. We were looking to achieve different things. It didn't work well on my team, and most of them left within 9 months. And so you get to a stage of going, I'm not going to change this big ship, this big vessel I'm in. What can I do to change me and my personal direction? And through various conversations, I left with a number of people that I had employed along with an old boss, and we started up Sapling Research. So it was an accidental entrepreneurial journey in that respect. So, yeah, I didn't wake up thinking that's what I'm going to be. But having done that and having done that for many years, now I think I've found my tribe. And that's what I love. And that's why I'm doing it all over again.
So it seems like it's an opportunity. And of course, you needed to do that. But do you think you still have passion to do such a thing, or you just wanted to do it your best and achieve success?
Definitely wanted to do my best. Absolutely. And although at the time I didn't think it was an entrepreneurial journey, I think what I did have and what we did have was a belief that what we were able to deliver to clients, the methodology, the style, the personality, the quality of the end result was different to what was out there. We were offering a better service. And because we had been part of another organisation that did it differently to us, that gave us almost the realisation that, yes, we can do it better. So instead of looking at the market and saying, oh, here's the problem, I can solve it, we didn't realise we were already solving it in a different way, and actually more of that was needed. That was the bit that needed to be scaled up, was the delivery of the service and the approach that was working well. I think many businesses, when they start up, you can still do the same as what's out there. It doesn't have to be an absolutely fantastically original idea. It just needs to be executed better than somebody else. It just needs to be positioned better than the competition has positioned theirs. You're too young to remember this, but there was the whole Betamax VHS video thing. There were 2 fantastic technologies. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the VHS won, and that became the industry standard because they did a better job of talking and the marketing and people followed that. But there was a great alternative out there. VHS won. You can be offering similar to somebody else, but as long as you do it better, or you've managed to position it better. Or
thank you so much. But for example, if someone else, like your competitors, are doing like lots of marketing and they already established some businesses, and how did you manage to still compete with them? Did you get some funding for that, for the marketing and etc.?
Good question. Yes, our competitors were naturally out there. It was an established market. We weren't creating a new market. We didn't have any funding. We were bootstrapping it. It's a relatively low cost of entry as long as you have the relevant skills. In terms of cost of entry, there was computer, software licenses, but the knowledge and the skills to use them in the way that was required to collect and analyse data and report it back. Once you had the skill and the experience, of which I've been doing 20 odd years, that bit was relatively easy. So you couldn't get somebody off the street just coming in. That was a barrier to entry. Without being too rude, you probably couldn't have stepped in to set up a market research agency because that wasn't your gig beforehand. But all you needed was a computer. Now, actually, it's probably easier because we have a world of AI and we have a lot of sophisticated tools taking us further, quicker. Yes, to market yourself, to sell yourself is a very important thing because without business, you didn't have anything to do, you didn't create anything, you made no money. To a large extent, that was based on personal relationships and those contacts and having a network and having a reputation already. As for anybody leaving one business and starting another in the same field, you have to be careful with your contract and the non-competes and elements such as that. I had 12 months where I couldn't go speaking to my old clients, whereas one of my fellow founders, he had left the business sooner, so it was in a position where he could speak to them quicker than we could. We played a bit of a tag team in terms of who did what. But one of the things that we did do was going for the long game. We played the marathon rather than the sprint in terms of marketing activities and branding activities. And SEO was our secret weapon to a large extent. Digital businesses, online businesses, website is your shop window. I mean, if you're direct to consumer, yes, you might have Shopify, you might have things that you can buy. Whereas a service business, you don't tend to press that button and the thing squirts out. Although you can productize, we can get into that later. But at that stage, we were a service that it's bespoke, it still is bespoke. So setting up a website that had a message, which was hopefully clear, that had a target market, that was hopefully clear, that had references to experience, because you, at the end of the day, always have your experience, regardless of how old a company is. You have lived that experience. You can still use that from a case study perspective, perhaps, showing people what you've done before. So having set that up and being mindful of the keywords and working with the algorithms and so forth, we set stuff up and we tinkered with that in the background. And so within about 2-3 years, we were the first page of Google. If you did market research agency in London, we were on the first page. Well, we were playing with big boys, the YouGovs and the Counters and all the rest of it. So that was an amazing position to be in. And the way that the website looked, we looked as though we were punching bigger than our weight, because that was an area that we'd done previously, and we decided to flex with those muscles and learn more.
That's a very good story to know, because each business, they have a lot of competitors and they feel like, I'm a startup and where I can get this money, because probably they don't need that much money, but they feel like someone else established a business and how I can still compete with them. So this kind of doubts also can stop them from developing continuously and quickly. But in your case, your service is better than your competitors. You have a strong belief, and you done the SEO marketing and everything was correctly done. So with the minimum effort, you achieved the maximum. Did you have a team to look at this SEO?
In terms of doing the marketing, that was me, that was the team. When you own business, you're wearing many hats. There are certain areas you tend to be better at or prefer to do, admittedly. I tended to lead on the marketing. I had a team that was doing all the delivery of the research services. But when it came to setting up the website in the first instance, we relied on an expert. It was a relationship we had in the past. So when we went to the new business, he understood what we were doing, but he knew that we were coming from a different position. So he was able to help us with the keyword strategy, with the content strategy and elements such as that. But he knew that we wouldn't be able to pay him anywhere near as much for the new company as the previous company. So he gave us a pared-down version, and we did more of the DIY ourselves rather than paying for him to do that beforehand. Yes, you might have been paying them huge prices, but you might be able to pay them a bit less, but still have some of their expertise and skills to behind you. And maybe coming back to your earlier point about whether you get funding and you worry that you don't have funding, that you won't be able to compete. I would say one of the reflections I've had working with many small businesses starting up from the ground, and many of my friends that are CEO of companies that have actually never made money, they have just spent money. But it depends what field you're on. If you're in biochemistry and things like that, and you're trying to do the latest drug, that requires an awful lot of investment. Whereas other businesses where you might be creating goods and selling them to consume, maybe that's slightly less unique and the funding isn't there for those kind of businesses. But if you are putting your own hard-earned cash into that marketing strategy, into the packaging, into the development of the product, you will probably look at almost every stage of the journey more critically from a financial perspective. And money will not just go out the window by accident because it looks good. You will make sure that every penny works hard. So I wouldn't worry that you don't have funding, because what you'll probably do is work a bit smarter, and you will evaluate your decisions better than if you were just handed that money that you have had to work so hard for.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Yes, if they have a very good strategy in how to use their resources, the available resources from themselves or from their surroundings, they can achieve very good result as well. For example, an entrepreneur or a startup, they are in a very early stage. They have some idea. They test the problem and they know who their customers, but they still didn't have strong MVP or product yet, and they want to get funding and go forward. This stage, is it a good stage to seek for funding?
Okay, interesting. Maybe one of my philosophies is always be scaling, always be thinking about next big thing, because that helps you stop and exit some of the small world thinking that you might have. I don't know whether you've heard of the book 10x is easier than 2x. That's a book about scaling up. Dan Sullivan, great book. I'd recommend you read it actually. And the principles behind that is if you start a business, if you're doing something, don't just think about making incremental gains to make it better for tomorrow. Think about, okay, where do I want to be in terms of the big vision, the big picture, the ambitious, audacious, here we go. And think about what foundations do I need to do there. That's scary when you look at it in the first place because you realize how big the gap is. But if you think about streamlining or setting things up to be smarter in the future, once you get there, you're going to be spending an awful lot less time on all of the small rubbishy bits that you have. So you are almost thinking about the problems before they happen. And so you've got a plan. You're less scared. It's that are working and then you pivot to the relevant direction. So in any scaling opportunity, you're going to have to change the words, change the tag, change the product, change the audience. But part of that is doing it many times or doing it big to be able to have those learnings, because you need the data on what marketing messages are working or what product shape, size isn't working. If you've only got data points from one or two tries, one or two experiences, that's not going to be as strong a decision as if you've got that data point from 100 tries, 100 experiences. So hence part of it. I really fast, it's exhausting. But keep going, but you'll be able to pivot quicker.
I've seen some startups, entrepreneurs, they stick to their original plan. They don't look at the actual result. Have you seen such mistakes or found during your mentoring programs?
During what you've mentioned is not uncommon, because I will put some of it down to our own self-confidence and fear almost. So we want to start with something and we want to be really sure that it's right or correct before we start saying to the world, before we start socializing it. And we've invested an awful lot of time and energy to get there, to make it feel perfect. And so if it isn't perfect, we don't want to let go of it. So it can be a sunk cost fallacy almost, isn't it? If you spent this much time and effort, I can't scrap it and start again. But I think pretty much most tech products, and I know you're involved with tech products, almost the first one is designed to throw away because you've learned so much about it. You might change the language, you might change the features, you might change the audience. But the learning that you get at the beginning is almost one of the key parts. Taking myself, for example, with my new business, to get Sapio to a stage where it was running without me because the systems and the processes were great and my business partners can do it now. I could see that there was an issue in terms of resource, that as an agency, we need people to do things. And so I thought, looking at my friends, they are running VA businesses now, having cheaper resource, having and supporting the repetitive tasks, the bits that the team maybe don't like to do, because after all, you've got a lot of knowledge workers that want to get on with the research and the analysis, etc. And I touted that idea around quite a few organisations and I had some fantastic conversations because the pain point, yes, we're overwhelmed, we don't know what to do, we need more resource. But what I was hearing back was, okay, I don't need a person to do that, AI will do that. And you go, okay, that's fine. Again, AI will do what? Well, I don't know. Just come in and sort it. Okay, let's think of the task. Let's think of the situation you want it to help with. Okay, do you think you can buy one off the shelf? A little box called AI that'll fix that? Oh no, I haven't looked into it yet. I haven't done that, but I'm sure it will. Which then got me to the stage of thinking, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, maybe put it that way. But I seem to know a little bit more about AI and automation and processes than these guys. And I'm able to challenge them, help them define their problem to be able to go and work out what the best solution for them is. It might not be another member of staff, probably using AI, but certainly improving their workflows and automation will help most businesses. You think of it from a process or you think of it from a wider business perspective. There's always things that we tweak and improve. Just because we've done it that way doesn't mean to say we always need to do it that way, because things change. The market changes, the people changes, the product changes. And so through those conversations, I've pivoted from offering resource improvement through people, through resource improvement, through systemizing what you're doing. So hence that, and the conversations I had are so much easier now than they were in my previous world of doing research and my other bits and pieces. So watch this space. I'm on the journey with you guys in terms of being a startup again. but I feel incredibly optimistic. But I didn't want to put good money after bad, so hence I pivoted and I changed.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so in each stage, as you mentioned, we also need a very good mindset. Some people don't fear of some challenges, and how you stay strong, and what activities helped you, or what's your way of staying confident in every stage?
Oh, there's a number of things with that. I think it's not one single thing. And I would say having a support network, and however you define support network is up to the individual. But for me, I suppose I look at my family environment. I have a strong, supportive husband that did the food for the kids and sorted some of the homework bits out. And now I have kids that are old enough doing their own jobs. They're doing the cooking, and somebody else will do the cleaning. And between us, we will sort out the roles, because we've all got things that we need to do in our day job. So my mind isn't bothered by the domestic chores. I can focus on what I'm doing. And also, you have a bad day, you can go home and you can do that. There's support there. They haven't got a clue what I'm doing. But fortunately, I had that emotional support. And then from the other perspective, from a business support, oh my God, am I doing the right thing or not? In whatever business, in whatever walk of life, I have a group of entrepreneurs that we meet with once a month and that we share experiences, because it's incredibly lonely at the top. If you are running a company whereby you have to be Mr. or Mrs. Positive all the time, you have to have a vision, you have to bring people along with you. You might be worrying about paying the bills. You might be worrying, have you made the right decision? Nobody has a crystal ball. COVID was a great example of that. So to be in a situation where there are other people going through something similar or have been through something similar. So taking the COVID example, none of us have been through that. But we're all sitting in a situation whereby we had wage bills to pay. We had new legislation to manage. We had the fear of health, family, all of the bits and pieces. We were able to have a group where we are talking about how can we help each other and how can we focus on our business and our families and so forth and get the best thing. Whereas I have many friends that weren't in a business environment. I had also good supporting conversations, but they weren't worried about paying somebody else's wages. Mm-hmm. So they didn't necessarily feel that pressure. So in terms of how do I keep myself strong, I would say have a range of people that can support you from different angles, whether it's the tasks, emotions, or inspiration. I would say I am so grateful to have the inspiration.
Thank you so much. For me, I also feel the same with the good support from the family and from other entrepreneurs and friends. Like emotional support is very important. I'm going to different entrepreneurs events and everyone comes with a very good energy. They are eager to learn. They're eager to help each other. I think that's also being very supportive in our journey personally. Mm-hmm. Can you explain to our audience what automation really means in a business?
I take it in a simple sense. I would almost call myself an expert translator between the business needs and business pressure and the technical guys that can implement it, design it. I sit in the middle, speaking the two languages. So for me, my team are working with the no-code, low-code solutions. So we work with integrating pieces of software that are out there, the platforms that you're using. So it might be Make, it might be Zapier, depending on what's needed. But one of the mantras we have is trying to get the software that people have already working the best. Because most businesses, small businesses particularly, start off with one big hero package. You're building your business around your website or your CRM database or a project management system, depending what you are. But usually you've got to the stage where you've bought that software. And then very quickly, you'll probably buy some other licenses that will help you with social media and creating the content for social media, editing social media. And all of a sudden, you've got all of these different things. And you'll probably find there's lots of manual clicking down, clicking up, moving over here, storing it over, because everything on its own looks great. But when you try to work it into a different system, something else, it's naturally, there are more stages to the process. It becomes more complex. So I work with businesses to help them understand what are they doing, why are they doing it, could it be done a different way, looking at it from the perspective of the customer journey, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be bugging clients with asking them the same stuff all the time. You want everybody in the company to have the information that they need to have about that client and so they can do their job. So from the moment you might be marketing to them, selling to them, bringing them on board, doing the compliance elements, the delivering of their service, and then, of course, you'll invoice them. product services, most go through that. And then, of course, you've got to nurture them to come through. You'll often find that you're asking information during the marketing stage. Somebody else in the company might be involved there, and somebody else then around the project manager will be asking for something similar. And then when it comes to invoicing, you'll be asking for something similar. And they're going, this company's number has not changed. The key person of influence has not changed. So it's thinking about, this is the thinking 5 times, not 2 times bigger. The whole, what will you need all that information for? So by automation, I'm talking about those touch points being done automatically. So as it moves from one place to another place, creating systems, usually through your tech, through gluing them together, that enable you to press a button there, only get involved when we need to manually to check things or to say it's okay, and letting that thing happen and you're finding what you need at the end. So the idea of squared go. That's the principles anyway.
Oh, thank you so much. It sounds it can like drastically improve efficiency.
That's it. But without even started, bullet point or something in terms of your key steps and the key software that's involved. I was doing mine yesterday with my team because there's a lot of moving wheels in there. But getting the guests and editing is all one thing, but what you want it to do is work hard the content you've got, putting it on the various platforms and making sure it's relevant for the audience, and then reappropriating that content later and so on and so forth. That bit can take longer at the end once you've got it than the bit to get it in the first place. And so we were working out, this is what we do with standard. I quickly showed we've got about 4 or 5 different pieces of software involved, and the uploading and downloading and this, that, and the other. And it's one of those, now we've taken time to write it down in more detail. So obvious those places that we say, okay, this is the human bit needed here, and it makes the life so much quicker. Yeah. That's what we're saying. Do it, document it, delegate it.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a very clear explanation I've ever had.
Yeah. But you've got to work out what your personal process is first. And that's the thing. It's difficult to get off-the-shelf processes because every business is different. And that's coming back to our earlier point, what makes you better than your competitor? It's how you put that little bit of something there in terms of your marketing, in terms of your service delivery, in terms of quality of your product. What is that bit? And that's the bit that will make your process slightly different to another company, and it's not quite so off the shelf as the others, and make sure that you've got it working well for you.
And you helped a lot of founders and startups. You've been a mentor for so many years, and I also wanted to understand like how mentorship help these founders to be successful founders.
I think a large part is having a sounding board. There are various programs you can go on, and I would suggest the Help to Grow government scheme. But at the moment, it's a funded scheme. I think it's 500, and you need to have over 5 employees. And with that, you have a structured program of learning plus 10 sessions with a mentor. So that is a nice achievable within the UK kind of course you can go on, of which I'm a mentor on that, for example. The way that could be structured can be the idea behind it. You have the 10 topics to learn, and you speak to them each week, and you clarify the things that they don't understand, or you make it applicable to their business. Whereas what seems to happen with many of my mentees is, I haven't got time for you now. I'm so busy learning and running my business. Can I come back to you later? Which actually is not a problem, but it's a less structured situation. But the key part to it is being a sounding board, I think. Because by coaching, you're almost sitting on your fingers and not giving any answers. You're helping people find the answers themselves through asking the questions, which is quite right because everybody's different. In mentoring, it leans more on, in my experience, this is what happened to me, or in my experience, this is what I've seen will happen in that situation. And those individuals can choose to listen to that or not. They're not obliged to. But it's having that, it's having that sound, I think. I think over the years, mentorship has possibly changed and it's become more formalised, more accessible than maybe it has been in the past.
Thank you so much. And did you have your own mentor when you first started?
No. And looking back now, I really wish I had, which is why I think I'm really passionate to help and share and learn through my failures as well as my successes, because if you could avoid those, that would be great. I had good bosses, and I had bosses that I learned from. But I think the relationship you have with a boss is quite different to a mentor, because for a mentor, you can say almost anything that you want to say, because your career progression is not judged on whether you're saying the right or wrong things, whether you're liking or disliking stuff. And I have found over the years a number of my mentees have changed career completely after a number of mentoring sessions. They might have started off in market research, but they had become something quite different. And you know what? That's not a problem, because if that is where your passion is, that is where your skills will take you. don't stay in that career that isn't serving you well. And through going through those conversations, that can help you think it out.
Should I go after my passion or what I'm good at?
Maybe I'll think of it one way. Whatever you're doing in a working environment, you're probably doing it more than you see your friends and family. So does it give you that level of fulfillment? And you're going to have to do it for umpteen years. We'll talk about retirement, but then how would you feel your time in retirement? You've got to want to wake up and you've got to want to do it. But you've got to be good at it to be paid for it. So it is a combination. But often what you can find, by practicing your passion, you develop the skills you need to take it further. They're doing that because they've got passion. If you've got a passion, you will go through the tough times. You will cope with boredom because you know there is something at the end of the day you're going with. Whereas to have skills is great. Those are important. But why would you want to get up in the morning and use the skills you've got if you dread using them in that particular situation? As if you have the passion for that particular situation or the objective for achieving what you want to achieve, the chances are you'll put up with the highs and lows much better.
Oh, thank you so much. It's very difficult without passion, I would say. You have worked with a lot of founders with their businesses, help them with automation. And what kind of changes they had after working with you?
There are a number of benefits. Some of it's clarity, because going through the process of looking at what you're doing and realising, even though you know in your heart of hearts it could be better, so speak that out verbally. So helping with clarity and thinking through things, which will then take them to that next level because the clarity muscle is a little bit stronger. Improving quality, because things are less likely to be dropped or missed or not found. You're delivering the same thing each time because the outcome is far more predictable. Saving time, so you can go and sell that extra thing, do that extra thing, think of that extra idea. And that kind of is the drudgery, the distraction, because if you're doing something with a lot of distractions and nuances, you don't need to worry about quite so many nuances because you can focus on the task. So in combination, there may be more joy in the job. There will be more time. And at the end of the day, time gives you money. And creating a business, you want to be focusing on the bits that are going to deliver you the business, not repeating the stuff that is not sort of interest to you. But yeah, for example, just email marketing list. So scraping a list, if you're sending out lots of emails, most businesses starting, they want to create an audience and you'll do it through many different ways. But one of them would be email marketing. So taking the act of creating that list in Apollo or LinkedIn, something like that, and then you go through the process of scraping it. So there are various tools, packages, or maybe you've written your own code, but many people start with the packages. But there's still quite a manual thing. You find it and then scrape per page, and then go to the next page and you scrape per page, then you go to the next page. So you might have 13 steps, of which 8 might need to be repeated on every page. To get yourself a list of 1,000, you might be doing that 25 times. And then you've got to put that through something to clean it. And then you get rid of half of that list because the rubbish data. And then you need to upload it into your emailing system. So just by automating the bit between, say, the LinkedIn email scraping to the cleaning to the email system, to the email package, there may be 4 major packages, but with all of the manual tasks that need to happen, it might only save you 45 minutes or so when you're doing a list of 1,000. If you're doing a list where you need 20,000 because your hit rate of those is only 1 or 2%, you've saved somebody a couple of days a week by just automating that one single process, because they're doing it so much larger, so much more on scale, because they're looking for so many more. Well, that's what you're doing. You're trying to get contacts to drive your revenue.
Thank you so much. What kind of companies do you think would be benefit from automation the most?
I think most businesses, I would say many tech businesses are doing it probably anyway, but I think it's many smaller businesses that are trying to juggle so many plates, and they have, like you gave the podcast example, there are many things there that once you've established a process, look at that, or cut out the bits that you don't need to make it so manual. But when an organisation gets to a size where there's more people involved and there's communication involved, then who needs to know what and how, we get overwhelmed by information. I'm focusing on more service-orientated businesses, so maybe law, accountancy, market research, creative industries, partly because they have knowledge workers that are expensive, valuable people that want to focus on their thing. And often what you do, you focus on your key skill, you don't focus on business running powers. And there's all sorts of things in the business processes to deliver your service, invoice your clients, sell to them, that you haven't thought about. So stepping back and doing that, I would say, it is a really big thing. But whenever there is an element of not enough time, whenever there's an element of needing to save money, that business can benefit from looking back at its processes, systemizing them, and automating key points.
Thank you so much. And I know you run a couple of businesses, and how you manage to be able to handle all of these while having good time with your family. It seems you have a very lovely family.
Yeah, thank you. Having good teams, having good people around you, and some things you get involved with on the day-to-day basis. Some things you just get involved with from a business perspective, from looking at the figures only, getting less involved with the day-to-day basis. And so I have a number of board roles, trustee roles, that kind of thing. And at first, that can be difficult because I'm a doer rather than look at it from a distance. But I've learned that actually by stepping back, having the bigger picture, that can be just as valuable to people as doing it yourself. How do I manage to do it? I have a routine. I have a daily routine, and that helps me. And I basically do my fitness, my reflection, and my gratitude and reading before I start the world getting into my head, before I pick up my phone, before I pick up the laptop, because it gives me what health, resilience, and strength to cope with the rest of the day. So if I don't move from my desk all day, at least I feel I've done X amount of steps or swimming or boot camp or something like that. I've had time to think and prioritise what I want to achieve that day. And in doing the gratitude element, I have learned things from previous days. Not everything's a bummer. Things happen that you don't want to happen, but you can learn from those things. And it's that constant learning. And when we asked about, when I asked you originally what does success mean, you mentioned constant learning. And that's what, okay, fine. I'm more than happy to chat because life is a constant learning thing. Yeah. Control what you can control and learn from the things that haven't always gone your way, because those are the foundations for your next success.
Being grateful is, I practice every day as well. It gives me so much energy. Like, I feel so happy. When we are happy, of course, we have good energy to do everything. And yeah, of course, we will have a good result as well because of the good energy. Do you use any tool, for example, meditation tool, or do you have any book to recommend?
Personally, I'm an outdoor exercise kind of person, so I like to swim outdoors or walk the dog or boot camp or something like that. I don't have any apps around that, but for me, people give me energy, so I'm around them, so that's nice. But in terms of books for a little bit of inspiration, each day I'll start off with, I've actually got one in my bag over there, Daily Stoics would be an example. So just a little small read, it's a bit like ready for the book for the day almost. Something that makes you reflect and think about the bigger picture, about you, about learnings. That's the wisdom kind of things. And there are lots of books out like that. So I would say Ryan Holiday's Daily Stoics would be an example. And that goes one every day. Chicken Soup for the Soul is another interesting one. That's positive stories each day. A little bit cheesy at times, but it's nice to read something positive because the moment you turn on the news, it's not, is it? So hence, those are the reasons for that. There are many, should we say, self-help books out there that we can break down into chunks. And then other things I would do, what do I want to learn about at the moment? So can it be like speaking, can it be motivational? Just learning about somebody who I admire, about their journey, what they've come with, what they've been through. I find that really quite inspirational as well. But 10 minutes a day, that's what it takes to get through books. Most of the day, I tend to try to avoid it first thing in the morning because you just go down the rabbit hole if you're not careful. But I appreciate it's routine. Many people have many apps to do those things, and part of that is to keep you in that routine of a good habit.
Yeah, I believe tech is probably can help them to start in the right way, and then maybe they can pick up other habits, whether it's swimming, whether it's reading like motivational stories from the books. And yeah, so how long have you been doing this to become your habits?
That's a good point. Well, I think over the years, I didn't used to do a diary. I started journaling when I joined EO, which was about 6 years ago. So I joined as an accelerator. And so I went through the learnings there, doubled in size and joined the main thing. And because each month we need to do a reflection about what's the 5% high, what's the 5% low. Because you take those into the room and say, look, this is the thing that's really gnarly, this is really troubling me in whatever part of my life, my business, etc. And then this is where you ask for the support. What did you do when you were feeling like this? Conversations. I started doing not diary keeping, but the whole, this is what happened today kind of moments. And then when I was going through bad times, that became ranting. This is what I've been through. And then it gets to the stage, there was a big change hiatus, and you move from one part of your journey to another. And I went on a training course again with these guys, but out in Wyoming. And that was a leadership course. And one of the things they insisted that we did was get up at 5:45 in the morning and do a 10-10-10 thing, which was the 10 minutes reflection, 10 minutes reading, 10 minutes gratitude. And I have continued doing that now probably for about 2 years. But I think the fundamental shift for me in writing those things each day, not only did it allow me to get it out there, it forced me to reframe what I was getting out there and to make it more of a learning point. So rather than go, just writing it down, which made me feel better, I was reframing it. But I learned this from it. It could have been worse. I'm grateful that didn't happen. It's the muscle that I'm flexing there, is the gratitude muscle, because it's one of those, shit, things happen. You can't control it, but you can control the way you look at it.
Yes, yeah, definitely. In each situation, we can have so many different ways to look at it. And if we can find like simplest pleasure or good things about it, we feel much better about it, even it's not desired like situation. This really works, being grateful and do this kind of journaling. And I also I do meditate first and then do some self-reflection. And if I have some bad thoughts, and I would turn it into something positive. And it really helped me to be motivated and be less stressed in even the most difficult situation. I've learned a lot from this conversation, Jane, and I hope my audience, they've learned about how to stay motivated, how you can utilize some tools like automation to maximize your efficiency, and how your network, whether it's from your family or other founders, can help you stay motivated every day. So yeah, we covered a lot of topics today, and I hope my audience found this useful. And if you like this video, please give likes and subscribe. And if you need any help from Jane, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. And thank you so much. See you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.